Welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. This is episode 220. I'm Moxbor again. I have with me, as always, it's my angel.
Hello.
What's up?
Not much.
Not much. Just chilling out with your thing out.
No.
That was a thing when we were in college. Well,
right.
when I was in college, we did that. We
Yes,
came
I
with
recall you saying
really
that.
a whole bunch of different versions of that saying.
I do remember.
Inappropriates.
I do recall.
Well, we are here, episode 220. I think we've got everything set up. The audio is recording. I've got the Twitch chat up. I have you people up on Facebook. You guys are up and running. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a lot to get to. Kind of got some fun things to talk about. And maybe some serious things to talk about. I don't know. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. There we go. Helps if I plug in my phone. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But first, before we get into it, let's tell everybody what our podcast is about. What's this podcast about?
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. A lot more stuff this week than things, but stuff.
Okay.
It'll make sense in a little bit.
Will it?
And not necessarily stuffed with an ED on the end. That was unplanned punnage.
Good one.
Anyway.
Corny dad jokes.
Right, exactly. No, it's a podcast about video games, movies, comic books, pretty much
Stuff that entertains us.
stuffed that we find entertaining.
God,
Everything that
stop with it.
anytime we say stuffed, I'm gonna say
Now
stuffed.
you can't stop.
No, I can't stop. I'm not even drinking. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, darn it. I mean, excuse me. We try to be family friendly, but it doesn't happen all too often.
We have a mature rating, don't we?
We do have a mature rating,
Okay.
and that's just in case we slip up, like I just did. We didn't have a show last week because we got water in the basement, and I had to clean the stupid office again. I really hate doing that. The next time we buy
you were like, when we buy a house, we have to have a basement.
right, and I was like that.
Naive of how much water can come in a basement.
Yeah, well, I knew water could come in a basement before we bought this place, but like I didn't realize how much work it was because I didn't take part in helping my parents clean out the basement when it got flooded because I think all the times I was either at school or somewhere else.
Well, and to be honest, we haven't had like a flood per se. We
Yeah, it
haven't
hasn't
had
been
like
that
a foot
bad.
of standing water. It's been we receive a trickle and it just kind of goes.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize, I think the way we've constructed the walls might be impeding the drainage system in the actual basement because like everything flows to where we have the laundry room right now, so it's like it goes through a couple walls to get there, and usually when it hits a wall, it'll like kind of go down, it'll follow the footboard, and then it'll finally leak out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we tried to make this a finished basement, and it's clearly not. It needs to be waterproofed.
yeah,
Honestly,
unfortunately. Anyway.
that's something we're gonna do.
Anyway, so let's
Home ownership. That's not entertaining.
that's not very entertaining, not at
No.
all. But the next place we do look for, or if we do move out, I would like some type of office that doesn't flood. That's going to be my, like, everyone's like, oh, I need 3 bathrooms, and I need, an island kitchen, and I need central air, and I need...
Oh, okay. I take central air over non-flooding study. Well,
no, I'm just referencing people, when
Right.
people are looking for a house,
Must-have
or
list.
this is their must-have list. I have to have, a
Listen, a second toilet.
A second
Our
toilet
people would
is
definitely
second.
be beneficial.
There's a list, like an office that doesn't flood, second toilet. That's my go-to. I no longer need the basement as long as I have a place to play games and podcasts and all that stuff. That's number one. It doesn't flood. That
doesn't flood.
In parentheses, it cannot flood because it's so much work. Like literally, and we only had a little trickle go from it went underneath the desk and it hit where the filing cabinet was. Thank God we don't have that wooden filing cabinet anymore. Otherwise, all of our files would be drenched.
Yeah.
Because that particle board stuff just soaks water up. So we got the metal one, but it didn't help. It just dispersed the water even further. So anyway, getting back to what we're talking about. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about some upcoming games that are getting remasters and remakes and things like that. We talked a little
There's
bit.
nothing new that we're interested in.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you go through these cycles, and Nintendo is notorious for it, for putting out the same game over and over and over again. Like if you've bought, Animal Crossing on the GameCube, you've probably bought it on the Wii, and you probably have bought it on the DS, and probably on the 3DS, and now on the 2DS, and
Right.
they are notorious for that kind of stuff. But some of these are going way back in the day, and I'm kind of excited about it. We talked a little bit about Spyro last podcast.
Yep.
Then we're going to talk about Stuffed Fables, which is where we're getting all the stuffed Fables, the board game. We'll talk about that a little bit. Not going to do a full review on it because I want to save that for an actual review video. If you want to check out our review videos on our YouTube page, youtube.com/72DPI online. It's a small playlist right now, but it's growing. There's 4 reviews up right now. I usually review 4 of them at a time and then release them on Fridays. So I'll do another stint of 4 or 5 here in a little bit. So, yeah. But yeah, I appreciate everybody watching on Facebook, on twitch.tv/72DPI online. You can join the chat there. We'll have some fun. And then last but not least, we are going to talk about some Walking Dead in their mid-season premiere. There will be spoilers.
Yay!
We will let you know before we start spoiling everything, but if you haven't seen it yet, you can watch up into the actual time we start talking about it. So stay with us as we go down this journey together.
Oh, I thought of something else we should discuss.
What's that?
Our cable versus streaming TV services.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. We can talk about that.
If we don't fit,
Let's talk about that right now.
If we don't fit it into this
Let's
episode,
talk about.
we can always fit it into later.
Let's talk about it right now because we've got a section for what we've been playing, and we can kick that off with we played Spyro last night on 8-bit, our stream 8-bit.
So you can watch that there.
So you can watch that there. It had a lot. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. You could tell it hasn't aged very well, but most games in that era probably wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, except for like the side-scrolling pixel games, like those kind of have like a retro feel. This just is really janky. Like it's just jaggy. I don't know. Like the 3D games, I don't think will hold up well.
It's very poly. Like you can see all the polygons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Zelda's the exact same way. It does not hold out well at all because of like it was trying to do something that we do really well now. And the funny thing is people now are trying to imitate the pixelated side-scrolling from back then, like Super Meat Boy. I can't think of any more off the top of my head now because I've got a brain fart. But anyway.
Castle Crashers in a way. It's not pixelated, but it's the same.
It's still that side-scrolling, like very minimalistic type of look.
Yeah.
So.
It was fun though.
It was fun. I had fun.
And I think once you get into, we played like the very first set of levels. So I think once you get into the more complex levels, you'll find that it's actually a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Anyway, recently we ditched cable.
Mm-hmm. For various reasons, but one specific reason you were lied to.
Oh my gosh.
We won't get into that. Don't get into that.
It was a huge long story, but we decided to try some different streaming services. We currently are signed up with Sling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the streaming on it isn't bad. I do like the fact that they have DVR, which some of the other ones do not have. DirecTV Now is one that I'd really be interested in because I loved DirecTV's service.
Mm-hmm.
But it got a little pricey, the DirecTV did.
Mm-hmm.
DirecTV Now is only $35, and they have actually a thing for the first 3 months. You take $25 off, so it's only $10 a month for your first 3 months.
But you're signing a contract.
No.
Oh, you're not signing. Oh, this is the streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you went back to the actual dish.
No, that's the streaming service. But they don't have DVR. That's the one thing that Sling has above others is the DVR.
That's so weird. I mean, even like Comcast, we offer a DVR service for our streaming apps. Like
maybe they just don't advertise it and it's there. I don't know.
I feel like that's something you should advertise. It's a big deal.
It is kind of a big deal.
And it's not like it's...
That said, though, we have DVR with the Sling,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not impressed with it. I mean, yes, you can DVR. We had a bunch of Friends episodes DVR
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I was. We also cut Netflix,
Right.
trying to cut a few costs, and I felt like we were double dipping with a few of our things. We had
Right.
Amazon, which we cut Amazon Prime, the Netflix.
Well, the Netflix, we were really watching a lot of the same stuff over. We were watching Futurama. We were watching
which we have
Family
DVDs
Guy.
of.
Right. Yeah, this is true. And we were watching like Family Guy and Friends and stuff like that. But the thing is, that stuff is on live television every night.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that just the basic stuff we'd seen to basically fall asleep is what we were using Netflix
Right.
for. Or when the kids are here, and we've got kid DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So cut out some of those things. But we'd recorded a bunch of Friends episodes, and I'd go back to try to play one,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd click it, and nothing. It wouldn't even come up with the watch now. It was just nothing would happen.
I haven't experienced that yet.
You deleted those, so I can't show you.
I know. Well, the thing will fill up in a couple days anyway. There's
Right.
you only get what 20. I think you only get 20 hours of DVD service or DVD capabilities capacity. There we go. Holy cow, I got there. But the one thing that and I haven't seen that issue, and I haven't had that issue. I dislike the DVR service for a whole completely different reason.
Right.
In the fact that there is no organization whatsoever. The organization is the order that it was recorded in, and then also A to Z, like one straight line. So like if you want to get to the Z's, like you got to go all the way through every other letter in the alphabet before you can get to it.
Some other thing I noticed too, like when you go to the TV channel guide.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably like way up here. Anyhow, I know. The menu system, it has your on now, which it lists it by genre, so you can go like kids. That's just kind of a neat thing.
That is cool.
And then it's got like
It's very
the
Netflix-esque because it's got like the
Right.
cover art too.
Right. And then it's got, if you scroll over, so it's like the headers at the top. You scroll over, it has the channel guide, similar to like any other channel guide,
Right.
and you can click
Like
and go to
on-screen
that.
channel guide, like
Right.
anything. Yeah.
The problem I have with that is if you scroll down to the bottom of that,
Mm-hmm.
you have to scroll all the way back up to go to the next header to go over to the next type of. You can't right.
You can't right bumper
left
over
bumper to get to the next thing.
Yeah, the usability is there. There is some usability that could definitely use some updating for sure.
Yeah. So there's a couple issues I have with the Sling. Other than that, it's not bad. I'm missing some on-demand stuff because we've been busy. I've been really focusing on my photography business stuff a lot, trying to really update and study and research and do a lot more with that than just what I've been doing. So in that, I've been missing out on a lot of my television shows that I typically watch. And we hadn't had them DVR'd, and they're not on demand. Like,
Right, they're just not on
a way to
demand.
watch them now. So I'm really kind of upset about that.
One of the things that we might try, because you can search for shows or whatever and have it record shows. Like I searched for Archer and have it record Archer episodes. And you could set it just like with other DVR systems. You can set it to record new episodes or old episodes. So maybe through that mix, you might be able to
Go back and recapture.
find one of those. I guess I don't know. You might be able to search and find out when it's going to be playing.
Right.
That seems like a lot of work. So
I know.
yeah, I can see that. It's you really have to. Sling is probably one of those services where you have to know what you want to watch and watch it when it's on. Like, because if you're DVRing it, hopefully you can find it within your mess of crap. But
And hopefully the DVR actually functions for it.
like I said, I haven't seen that happen, and I'm kind of curious to see what happened with that. But we have a little bit of, there's sometimes depending on how many people are using the internet at one time, Upstairs, sometimes we have a little bit issue with like pixelation and stuff like that. We've never had it just completely cut out while we're watching.
I've been having internet troubles lately, and I don't know if that's a result of our dropping the TV.
I hope not. That would piss me off.
I've been switching my phone to the like data versus our home internet
mobile
lately.
Network.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. But when we're down here, we watched Walking Dead on Sunday, and we did
decently.
We didn't. I don't think there was any interruption whatsoever. There was a little bit of a hiccup during the gun battle in the kingdom, but I mean, we still heard everything. It was just like a little hiccup or whatever. But other than that, the pixelation never happened. It was, seemed fine.
Yeah, it went decently.
I mean, if you're gonna say like we're saving what like $60 a month, because our bill dropped down to like what $70 I think it was, and it
70
was
for the internet.
Yeah, and then we took away phone and TV and saved probably about $50 because we're only paying like $120. We would have
been paying $108.
We would have
originally.
We would have been paying like upwards of $120 if we would have kept them.
We're paying basically what we had been paying.
Right. So anyway, so that's Sling. It's not too bad. They need.
I'm not in love with it.
I'm not in love with it either. But again, for what do we pay for $27 or whatever for Sling? Like that's not too bad. So we can try other services too. So
right, that's the one thing I do like is not being locked into a contract.
Yes, good Lord, like that is the worst thing ever. So, all right, let's switch gears into remakes and remasters. Let's see. Let me pull this over here so I can read that. Excuse me. So we already talked about last podcast on 2 Wednesdays ago, probably at this point. Gosh, I got to get to there we go. Come on, Joe, get with the program. There we go. We talked about Spyro and its trilogy coming to the PS4 in Q3. So that was kind of a thing. That's kind of what sparked the 8-bit idea of going back and playing Spyro. Like, yeah, play it the original and then buy the new one. So we went back and played that. But the other ones that came out these past 2 weeks that were super interested is Burnout Paradise is coming back. 4K 60 frames a second PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, which we have a PS4 Pro. I doubt we'll buy it on the PS4. We'll probably buy it on the Xbox One. So we're still going to get, 1080p 30 frames per second.
Oh, come on.
What?
Why won't you show some love to the PS4? We have no games for it.
But really? You really? Okay. We don't have a 4K television, so we can't, partake in that. Would you like to buy a 4K television just for Burnout Paradise?
Yes, I would.
Sweet. You heard it. I have it on recording. I've got you saying that out loud with one person on Facebook Messenger watching. Thank you.
Josh, yeah.
Josh is my witness. No, I'm just kidding. So so this is coming out March 16th, I believe. Although the what you call it, this particular article on Shack News did not say that. But the good news is, and this is awesome. I'm Josh has heard it. Busted. So
Damn.
The good news about this is it's coming with all the DLC packs. So I think it's set upwards of 8 DLC packs, one of which is the Big Surf Island, which is this whole nother island over that's off of the mainland or whatever, which we never got to play.
Right.
We did buy the DeLorean DLC pack, and then there's a few other ones like the motorcycle pack that I think we got, but this is going to include all of those for one price. I don't know what the price is going to be. Chances are it's probably going to be $40, which is unfortunate, but it's hard to believe that the game was created 10 years ago.
Well, that's about right. We were been married 10 years, so this will come out just after we got married then.
Yeah. So, yeah. Definitely a fun game. I'm
old,
Eli.
man.
And the thing is, I told Eli, I was like, hey, you remember that game Burnout Paradise? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, they're remaking it for the Xbox One. And he goes, which game was that again? I'm like, what? You mean?
It's been a while since we played it with him, and he played it a lot. But that was
Yeah.
probably, I mean, okay, he's 7 now. He was probably what, like 5?
Maybe,
If not,
maybe
maybe 4.
maybe younger than that, but
So when you're only 7, that's quite a that's like a,
a
you know,
lifetime
third of your
ago.
life, right?
So then I sang the Paradise City song. It's like, oh yeah, that game. So I kind of
It was so stinking cute when he just sang that, and
yeah.
he used to be so excited. He go, yeah,
Right. So
take it down.
shh, careful, you're gonna get us copyright. Dang.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't sing well enough for that to happen.
Let's see here. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So what else? The other thing that's going to be coming out is Turok is getting a remake, not a remaster, just not a remake, but a remaster. So they're re-releasing it essentially. They're not updating any of the graphics or anything like that. Whereas with Burnout, they are going, updating the graphics and stuff like that. And then with Spyro, they're doing a complete overhaul, like new graphics,
I'm
new
excited
sounds,
to see that.
new music, all that stuff is just getting completely uplifted. But Turok, I'm kind of excited about. I heard they were remaking it or whatever, or remastering it or whatever the case may be, re-releasing it, whatever you want to say. But after I watched the video, I was like, wow, that's really bad. And we were just talking about how, some of these older video games don't age well. Turok is not going to be one of those. Like, it holds a special place in my heart on the Nintendo 64. I played a shitload of it. And then the Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, we played a ton of the multiplayer. And it was a lot of fun, but I don't think I'm going to spend $20 per game, $40 for these titles. Like, I'll probably wait for it to go on sale because it will. Or this seems to be like, this will probably be one of those games that goes on Xbox free to play or whatever, where games with gold. It's like every month they put out 2 games that you can download for free or whatever. This will probably be in that bargain bin. I would say probably about 8 to 10 months after it's released. So that's getting a remake. So that came from Polygon, but did you ever play Turok?
I did not.
No.
I didn't have an N64.
That's a pretty good game. You played as this like Indian dude that fought against dinosaurs, and some of the dinosaurs had like rocket launchers and like
That
Gatling
makes
guns.
perfect sense.
You played against a T-Rex that breathed fire, which doesn't make any sense.
No.
No, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Anyway,
Totally.
so that'll be out March 2nd for $19.99 each. All right, so let's switch gears. Bum-ba-da-da. And talk about some stuffed Fables.
Yeah, so we've been on this board game kick lately.
What's wrong with the board game kick?
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that's what we've been kind of on.
Why do you think that is? I'm kind of curious. I think I know why, but I want to hear why do you think we play more board games than video games?
I don't know. Well, I think some of it may have to be just that we're playing something that's family friendly with multiple people. Trying to think of who else. Why else? I don't know. I don't know if it's the fact that we have kids and we're doing more with them. Well, not really Sawyer so much in the game realm, but Eli. Although even with our adult friends, we're doing more tabletop gaming. I don't know if it's because the systems now aren't supporting as much the
Couch co-op.
Yeah. It's a little harder to do.
It's hard to keep everybody involved, I think, with a video game that's not couch co-op. Right? Like a game like Zelda, for instance. I could play Zelda up in bed by myself focused on the screen. But if we have everybody together, right, sitting on the couch,
Right.
one person playing Zelda, that's not really fun for the family, I don't think.
Well, no. I mean, like Halo and stuff, you used to be able to play 4-person
Right.
screen, and the
Yeah.
games just aren't doing that as much anymore. You have to have, a copy per system. So.
And you have to play in separate, well, not necessarily separate rooms, but,
Right.
separate systems, separate TVs.
Right.
It's a very secluded type of gaming experience.
Yeah.
So, like, the board games have, been around forever. And like you said, we've kind of been getting into them a lot more, but I feel like it brings back almost like a family night type of thing. Like I used to have with my family. Like we used to play like Stratego and Sequence and like a whole bunch of like Clue and a whole bunch of games. We'd sit down and have a lot of fun and playing like board games and card games and things like that. So it really kind of takes me back to that point in my life, which is fun. But needless to say, I digress. We move on. But Stuffed Fables is a cooperative game. I don't know if I need to get like a freaking table or something to put it up here. So Stuffed Fables is like a creative, a cooperative game where you play as these cute little stuffed animal guys. Here, there's like a lion, a pig, a giraffe, an elephant, a bunny, and a bear. You play as these little stuffed animal guys that belong to a little girl, and you basically go on these adventures that happen underneath the bed in this like void realm thing or whatever. So you kind of like defend her from evil and things like that. So far we've kind of walked around, like in the actual game takes place in under the bed. There's also some like different levels within the house and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the story where she's potty training.
Right. So like
go to the bathroom.
So like we've played the first 2 stories. There's 7 in total. The first story was when she got her new bed, and she went from like the crib to the big girl bed. And then the second story was, fast forward in her life when she's trying to be potty trained. Mm-hmm. So it's really it's one of those things where it's cute because of, Eli's gone through that same thing, right? And it's funny because some of the actual storytelling in it is like, oh wow, that's Eli to a T or whatever. Like, but the characters have different character cards, they have different abilities and things like that. You have like a turn-based battle system and things. The cool thing about it is the actual game board is this storybook, and it has like all the different inserts as far as story goes. The actual game is grid based, right? So you've got like these little miniatures that the game comes with, which look like this.
Yeah, it was a little tricky to get into at first, I think, as far as figuring out how it all kind of flows. I mean, we still have to refer to, even after playing through 2 games of it, there's 7 stories in all. Mm-hmm. We still have to refer back to the rules at times. But it's almost like a choose your own adventure in a way.
Right. There's 2
the stories
endings.
Don't link together, which that would be like taking it to the next step. I think would be really cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's two endings to each story, from what I've seen so far. That may change in the future. I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, we've only played through the first 2 games. I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. I don't know. It's cute. It's fun. There's multiple ways. Even though there may only be 2 endings, there's kind of multiple ways to get to those endings.
Right. So like each story has like 5 or 6 pages, right? And there are 5 or 6 different locations, and based on what you do, in each section of the story, it tells you to go to page 7 and read section 9, and then you might go back to if you skipped over a couple of pages or whatever, it might tell you to go back to page 2 or 3 or whatever. So it's a lot of fun in the sense that while there's only 2 endings, there's multiple ways. Your travel is going to be different. The
right.
approach
like for
is going to be
instance,
different.
Like the very first story, you travel to the land. The land's called the Fall.
Yeah, the Fall. I keep calling it the Void. It's the Fall.
Yep, the Fall. And there's like lost toys and toys that have been discarded and things at this location. And there's a forest, and there's like the heaps, which is kind of like what you think of like a junkyard. Some towns, different places, and one of the very first encounters you have there, you're at what's called the heaps, which is like the junkyard, and there's a train leaving, and you need to there's an item that you're supposed to be retrieving that you can tell is on this train.
Right.
You can get on the train. All the characters can make it to the train before the train leaves. The train can leave, and you can just go to basically walk through another location to get to a certain town. Or the train leaves, and you can get this wagon out, and you can chase it down in the wagon. So there's
right.
And just depending on how you go about this, again, you only have 2 endings in the outcome, but how you access the endings is different.
Right.
It can be multiple ways.
And there's a couple different like icons on the board that do different things, like searching, and there's merchants that you can purchase items from to equip to your stuffy to help defend or attack your enemies and things like that. There's a randomized deck that has
kind of like little encounters.
Yeah, like miniature encounters or whatever that you can you basically get a multiple choice, and based on what you choose, it affects you a certain way. There's different cards that augment your guy based on what you do. So for instance, the one we were playing a game, and the random card that came up for me was you see there's a large stuffed animal bull attacking a smaller stuffed animal or something, or
that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, attacking a smaller stuffed animal or something like that. And if you stood up to him, you might have lost a stuffing, but you also gain a courage card. So now your character's courageous, and whenever he rolls, for his attack, he does 2 extra damage or whatever. So, and then there's a lot more like game aspects to it. Like there's certain skill checks, there's group tasks and things like that, where you're trying to like all work together as a group, trying to complete a certain task, like a mini task or whatever, opening doors and things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know you said you go into it further on a review.
Yeah.
But it's
I think
neat.
you're right.
I'm not sure about the replayability of it necessarily.
Yeah, because we replayed one of the stories once already, and while the journey was completely different, because we didn't make a certain checkpoint or whatever, and the game moved on a different way than we would have went the first time. It still was fun, but it's unfortunate because what's going to happen. You're like, oh, we got to go here, and this is what that's going to say, and stuff like that. So replayability is not that strong, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so the good news is the game creators and the publisher, Plaid Hat Games, they're coming out with a couple extra stories. The first one's almost finished. It's going to be I believe it's going to be a free downloadable PDF that you can print and play and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. But again, like this, you're not going to be able to print this on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You're going to have to go 11 by 17 and then cut it down. And that's kind of like I'm glad it's free, but one of the things that this game has going for it is the graphic design and just the overall, like, the attention to detail, like. And I don't think you're gonna.
It's very pretty.
I don't think you're gonna get that on a Xerox, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It is a very pretty game, and you definitely are paying for the creativity of it, the miniatures, and all of the little things that come with it. But again, paying the cost of it.
So here's a version of the boss.
Low replayability is. I guess that's kind of my my thing is paying the money and not having that much that you can go back and play again. That's kind of hurts.
Yeah, I agree.
One other kind of neat aspect, and you can tell it is kind of angled towards kids. I think they said what age is 8+ or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's 7+.
7+. So one of the kind of neat things, again, at the end of each, let me try to find the end of this chapter here. So probably page 16. At the end of each story, they have what they call these talking points. So you've got your main story. At the beginning, you have a little fable, and at the end, you have what they call talking points. So let me find it. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I do agree that I wish the stories progressed. One of the cool features of this game is there's a story deck. So each story has its own deck, and it's meant to be a secret or whatever. So you don't unravel that each of those right away. The game book will actually tell you, like, okay, go to the story deck, pull out, this item and read aloud or whatever. And so, like, you'll get different cards will be added at different times based on what the part of the story that was being read and stuff like that.
So, at the very end of the book, it has the endings, like the story 1 endings, the story 2 endings, and so on.
All right.
And on each ending page, then there's like this other little box called talking points. And this is where it's like, again, really good to play with kids and stuff. So the story 1 end, and I'll go ahead and read it. Our life experiences transform us, but it's up to us to enjoy, learn from, and guide our personal growth. Do you ever resist changes in your own life, and why? If you were a parent, what changes in your child's life do you think you would find the most dreadful and the most joyful? So, I mean, it gives some...
Definitely some reflection.
Yeah. It's a game, and you're playing a game, but it gives you... and again, each story has its own different talking points here that come... that kind of go along with the game, because that particular story was about the change of moving into the big girl bed. But yeah, so it gives you a reflection as a kid, if you're resisting changes, but then again as a grown up, what are they going through, and it kind of, I don't know, it's neat. It's different from any kind of game I've played before.
Right, and this is the second game in this. It was Jerry Hawthorne. Jerry Hawthorne's the designer of this. This is his second type of this game. The original one, which is a little bit more adult oriented, you play as mice. It's called Mice and Mystics. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a similar thing. It doesn't have like the book or whatever. You have like these boards or whatever that you assemble for the game boards or whatever, which is pretty cool in its own sense. I like the book version better because it packs away nicer. It's easier to kind of flip, and you don't have to search for everything. It just keeps everything together. But it's a lot of fun. It's not necessarily just for kids. I mean, we played one chapter of it, and it was a lot of fun. So,
well, even that reflective comment is geared to adults too.
Right,
so.
Exactly. So, highly recommend it. So yeah, we'll do actual in-depth review going over like all the game pieces and how to play and all that stuff. The one thing that we'll leave it on is one of the YouTube channels that I watch. Mentioned the miniatures and how easy they are to paint. They come like the gray primed type of color or whatever, so they're super easy to paint. I don't do that. Like we've painted a couple and they're terrible.
It would be nice to have them pretty painted. Oh
God, I don't trust myself painting them. Not at all. But it's nice to know that you can do that. So
yeah, I was gonna say something and I totally lost it.
But along the same lines, they're also with the releasing the printable PDF for the expansion stories or whatever. There's going to be 2 new characters to play as. There's going to be a stuffed giraffe, and I can't remember what the other one was. I think it was a rhino, maybe. I don't remember. But they're going to have their own, their own abilities and stuff. They have their own like little intro stories, which is really kind of fun when because you don't start with the pig or the lion. Yeah, it supports up to 4 players at once, but there's 6 total characters that you can play as, and you don't acquire the lion or the pig in the first story. You acquire them in the second and third, or no, both are in the second, I think.
Yeah.
So lots of fun. So anyway. All right, so we are going to talk about The Walking Dead next. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is your
Chance.
This is
to
your
not
chance
get spoiled.
to bolt out. If you
But
do,
come back and watch it after. Watch the rest of the podcast after
right?
you've seen
Absolutely, absolutely. Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Get subscribed. We have all of our streams and podcasts up there. So this is your opportunity to get out of Dodge before we spoil it for you.
the show. Yeah.
You've been warned. All right, so Carl dies.
Oh my God! You just like jump right in there with that. Holy crap!
Everyone knows he's gonna die. At the last episode, he's like, "Hey,
Right.
look at this!"
Oh,
He's
I know.
like,
And
bite
I
mark.
know.
Oh, you
It's
dead.
been all over Facebook and.
Right.
you
I don't know
you-
how you could not know about it.
Right, but I mean, just throw it out there like that.
I
oh my
gave
God.
the warning. I gave the outro. I put
Right,
the
but
spoiler blood splat up
It
there.
was just, that was cold.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize.
That was very cold.
I apologize. But Carl does die.
Okay.
He does die. He offs himself.
You're horrible. Like there's no emotion to this. You're just like, this is what happened.
This is what happens. I'm just as upset as the next person. Not quite as upset as some people that are boycotting the show, saying, "Oh my God, it's over."
Same people who boycotted the show and they killed off Glenn.
They should have killed off Glenn the first time. Like I'm
Under the dumpster.
under the dumpster. He should not have hit under the dumpster.
But the comic had him. I mean, he died
See,
true to the comic.
oh my God, I don't. But here's the thing. I don't. The argument that the comic and the TV show should be hand in hand has never been a thing. I don't understand why people make that assumption.
No, I mean, I know they're not going to be, but
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, they are basing it off the comic. It is nice to, and again, I've not read the comics, but it's kind of nice to see where they parallel and where they veer. So.
See, Brent's right. There's no time to mourn in the apocalypse.
Oh
I
my
agree.
God.
Although they are far from the apocalypse, I think, at this point. I don't remember the last time we saw. We did not see a single zombie. Well, did we see a zombie last episode?
Not so much.
I don't think we did. Did we see a zombie?
I don't know. And they're out there, and it's a real threat. Obviously, that's how Carl ended up with meeting his demise.
Right.
So it is. They are out there, and it is still a threat. But at this point, it's a lot more about rebuilding society, I think, and the threat of other people and how they want their society. How they're deeming society to be rebuilt.
Right.
I mean, clearly, Negan thinks he is saving people, and he is in a way.
He's making sure everybody's got a job. Make sure that they're getting paid based on what they're doing for that job. It's not like everybody it's not a socialist type of arrangement. It's more of a, this is what you work, this is what you make, this is how, go buy, So, I feel like the outcry because of the dispatch between the comic and the TV show is just a little over exaggerated.
Well, I mean, it is a huge. Carl is still alive in the comics, and I believe there is a time jump, from what I understand.
In the comics or
in
in
the comics?
Oh, is there? Okay.
To where he's kind of taking things over, and so that is a huge. I mean, obviously, at this point, that's not able to happen.
Well, I'm wondering if they do the same thing, but with Judith.
Because Judith is not alive in the comics. Judith dies with Lori at the prison.
I wonder if you've got a role reversal there.
Which
and they wanted
possible.
I wonder if they wanted a stronger female character leading the charge.
Yeah, and that's entirely possible.
Because they have already kind of nixed out the idea that Michonne's going to take charge. They've got Maggie,
which Maggie does take charge. She controls the hilltop.
Oh yeah, I agree. But I'm thinking like a younger
for the time jump.
Yeah.
All that, which they haven't ruled. They've said they haven't ruled that out. Another thing is we've been seeing this Rick who is kill every single savior. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yep.
But yet in the comic, if they are to stay with true as part of the comic, and this is something that even I think Robert Kirkman said, with the show they fix things that they did in the comic. So
they're able to test different things and kind of be a little bit more creative,
right,
with their choices.
So in the comic, they, instead of killing every single savior, they end up capturing Negan and imprisoning him. So they had to come up with a way that Rick would decide, instead of killing Negan on sight, decide to imprison him instead, because the Rick we've been seeing would never keep him prisoner. He would have just killed him.
Right, exactly. And vice versa. Negan would have never coincided with Rick.
Right. So,
get down.
But as we've seen, Carl was trying to impart to Rick that he wants his legacy basically to be that of a society.
That's the heater.
Okay. A society that they can live, where people can live together regardless of their differences.
Right.
And heck, I mean, even in that old man Rick vision,
which I really enjoyed. That was really cool. And you called it too. You were like, "This, I don't think this is real. I think this is a vision." And you called it this. That was Carl's vision for the future, whatever.
It even shows.
She even shows Negan helping out picking tomatoes. Like that's pretty. I mean, I don't think that'll ever happen. Like that's very far fetched, but I think it definitely demonstrates what Carl wanted and what Rick has to do to kind of honor his son.
Right.
But I don't understand how he's going to go from gunslinging all the way back to Farmer Rick, because that's basically what Carl's asking.
And I don't think he might necessarily go all the way back, but at least it'll help veer the show in that direction.
Right.
So I can understand why they did what they did.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I liked I like the scene where I don't remember what the little boy's name was, but he pierced the little like one dude's throat or whatever, and you could see it in all their eyes. They're like, "Oh, what have we done?" I mean, Carol was there. And Morgan, especially in Morgan's eyes, you could definitely see he was just like, "Oh my gosh, like what have we done? Like what have we unleashed here with the kids and all that stuff?" I mean, do you teach them to survive or do you teach them to kill? Like, where's the line? It was happening
at a similar moment when Carl was talking about back at the prison when he killed the kid.
Yeah.
Who was laying his gun down and he didn't
shot him in the head.
He didn't have to, right? He didn't have to do that. And that Rick was able to change his mode at that point and become more peaceful so that Carl could in turn become more peaceful. So again, I think everything in this episode kind of brought it back around to, the adults seeing what they're doing is affecting the kids, talking about the future, bringing it back to what do they want the future for these kids to be, and how can they go about creating that, because again,
well,
they were more violent, and Carl shot the kid. Rick went farmer, and it brought Carl around.
Right, and I think and that also played a pretty big role in Carl recognizing what Rick has become and saying, I don't want that. We've lost hope, and that was kind of the whole reason for him bringing. It's not Saeed. I can't remember the dude's name. Saeed from Lost. I don't remember the dude's name, but bringing him back from the gas station, right? We saw him a couple episodes ago or whatever, and Rick kind of scared him off. But you've got no reason. Like, just because you see someone scavenging for food doesn't necessarily mean they're a
bad
threat,
person, or that you should bring him back and help out. Yeah.
Right, and just like with all the saviors, they're not all bad people, right? They're just under a dick of a person.
Yeah, they found a way to survive in this world, and Negan
Right.
is helping them survive.
Right. So of
So
course they're not. They're. I mean, they're going to fight for Negan, but because of the security that he's providing them, right?
Right.
Jobs, food, water, roof,
Shelter.
shelter. Right. Exactly. A living, breathing society in the apocalypse. So, they. It's not like they're like, oh my god, this guy's so evil. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
well,
haven't seen another way.
right, exactly. Or if they have, or if they have, it hasn't been as fruitful for them. So, I don't know. The viewership was definitely way, way, way down.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, it's still like above the 8 million range or whatever.
Just above or at or above second season.
Yeah, the second season, but it's definitely lower. I mean, I honestly didn't expect a price trip. I didn't expect a spike in viewership just because they didn't end it on a cliffhanger. I mean, we knew Carl was bit, right? So we knew his time was short. So there really wasn't, like, oh my god, who did they kill off? Where like, with the one with Glenn, it was everybody and their mom was watching. Like, oh my god, who they,
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing a downward trend. As much as I hate to say it, I don't know how much longer it'll be on air.
I don't know. They have a couple crossovers and side stories coming up, which might reinvigorate the base.
Well, and they've got a new showrunner for the next season.
Oh, right. Scott Gimple's not going to be doing it.
Right. He's I forget his exact title, but he's basically over all of the entire franchise.
Right. So Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead,
and any other future spin-offs they've said.
So the one I don't remember what it's called, but it's following the biker gang Joe. So that one's going to be coming.
It is now.
Out.
They just introduced them in the last section, the Red Machete.
Yeah.
It just introduced Joe in the last. It wasn't following him previously.
Oh, I thought that was going to be an actual spin-off about him.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where they came from because those guys were evil. Like I think they were almost more evil than Negan, at least in the TV series.
Yeah, Negan's evil, but he has a reason for doing what he does. His disciplinary style is just very crude.
Oh yeah, definitely hardcore. But I think child molestation's a little bit higher than I'm going to burn your face with an iron. And being okay with the child. Yeah, that struck a chord with me, and I was like, "Wow, that dude's a dick. He's giving Joe's a bad name."
Yeah. Well, and again, Negan imparts. He does the big showy, the batting and the burning with the iron as a form of discipline and to keep everybody else in line and impart some fear into them so that everybody stays in line. Right. And while it's really bad and gruesome,
very gruesome,
it's a way for him to gain the upper hand and discipline everybody below him. It's not like, hey, and he probably does really enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
to an extent. But
dude, I'd love bashing
like
people's faces.
It's not like, hey, I'm just gonna come up to you, random person, and just right. It's and again, he did bash a random person in with Abraham. But it was a means of gaining this new colony, basically, and getting them under his thumb as a show of power.
Right.
So.
Speaking of Negan, I don't think it's over there. The comic showing it.
The Here's Negan.
Yeah, the Here's Negan comic hardback. I don't think it's. I'm almost positive. I think I took it upstairs. If you get a chance and you're kind of curious about his background, they released a hardback comic called Here's Negan.
We probably talked about this around Christmas time.
We probably did, but it's timely to bring up. If you see it in the stores, it's definitely worth picking up because it's got some really good insight into kind of who Negan was before the Negan we see now. I'm not 100%. I don't think it's in the actual comics. I think this is like separated out, so I don't think you actually can get this in the comics. So definitely worth it. But yeah, I look for. I mean, So is that Machete thing or the Red Machete? Is that just like a mini series that's going on inside of? There isn't like an actual show anywhere else or anything like that, like a web series or anything like
Not
that.
to my knowledge.
That sucks. See, I think like
I
a
don't really know.
yeah, I think like a small series like that would be really cool if they shot it and put it on Face or on Netflix or YouTube or something like that, YouTube Red or whatever.
I think it's kind of like those little blurbs that were on,
like the flight whatever.
right?
Yeah. But we do have the Morgan crossover to come that we're coming up on.
Which I'm not up to date on.
Fear.
Right.
We need to catch up on Fear.
Yes.
But there's a crossover that's gonna help that'll put Morgan in the Fear universe or whatever, or location or whatever, which we're still not 100% sure if it's going to be timeline wise. I mean, going down to Mexico is that's kind of a hike on foot or whatever. Well, I guess he doesn't necessarily have to be on foot, but
right.
In the apocalypse, I imagine it'd be a little bit more difficult. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting.
Anyway, you got anything else you want to talk about? I think that's about everything we had.
I think that about covers it. We added some things.
Added some things.
Yeah, the streaming.
Oh yeah, the what you call it? Wow, my batteries, my mouse are dying. Holy cow. Okay, well, yeah, we'll call that a show. We'll be back next Wednesday for episode 221. Not really sure what we'll talk. We'll definitely talk about the newest episode of Walking Dead, but we'll probably come across a couple other topics to talk about.
One of my other shows, which I've not really watched this season, Once Upon a Time, is finally.
Oh yeah, got the axe. Did it officially? Are they done, or is there a last?
They're finishing up this season.
Oh, is it going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
I watched the first few episodes.
Oh, that's sad.
I haven't watched any more than that. I would like to watch it just
to kind of see it through.
And they are bringing back a couple of the original cast members.
So they're finishing up this season right now, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting. They must be on hiatus or something because they just announced that one of the one of the original cast is coming back. Like some of the original casts are coming back. They haven't made all the announcements yet as to who that will be.
Mm-hmm.
So they must still be filming. I'm not, which is kind of odd.
I don't know.
They might be on like their mid-season. But yeah, so that's officially over, which is sad, but it should have been over last season.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Make sure you head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Check out all of our old stuff. Get subscribed. Leave us a comment. You can watch us every Wednesday on twitch.tv/72DPI online. Jump in the chat. Have some fun with us. Like I said, we'll be back next Wednesday. Tomorrow night, I've got the Laundry Day stream. I'm going to try and pick up a copy of Red Dead Redemption for the 360. I haven't played that yet. I want to get that. I want to play through that before Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. So we'll be streaming some of that on Twitch and having some fun there. No video on Friday, unfortunately. Like I said, we just got the actual basement cleaned up, so we won't be able to we'll definitely be putting a full review up of Stuffed Fables sometime in the near future. But that's that. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Night.